the very opposite of the popular band. The Guardians had a day to forget in Detroit. But today, we've got prep hitters and pitchers to talk about, mocks to react to, and our final thoughts on the Guardian situation at 1-1.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a packed full show today. Today's episode is brought to you by Booking.com. This episode of Locked On Guardians, I should say, is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay. I want to thank everyone for being an everydayer on the show today and making us your first listen wherever it is you get podcasts. And I will recommend looking at a second listen or go checking out some of their prospects, Locked On Prospects, because I did 41 videos for that. So that'll be some more draft content. For those who don't know me, man, can't speak today. I'm Jeff Ellis, one of your co-hosts here. I have been here since the beginning of the network for baseball. Before that, I was a lead draft and prospect analyst at Scout and 24/7 nationally, as well as your third favorite blogger at every Cleveland sports blog that has ever existed or will exist.
Always my favorite, Jeff. I'm Justin Latta. I'm the other co-host, and I've been covering the Guardians modeling system since 2007. You might have known me when I was in the editor of Guardians Baseball Insider for a short time, still with the News Herald and the Morning Journal, and also at Prospects Live occasionally. And this is Locked On Guardians. We are ready today to dive into 5 minutes of what Thursday's
less.
show.
I say
Detroit.
Let's do even less.
Even less, yeah. It was not good. Definitely a day to forget. Spencer Howard is not the answer. Gabriel Arias is out, though. That's interesting. We'll talk about that. But most of the show, again, is going to be, we talked yesterday about our top college prospects for the Guardians at 36 and 48. If you didn't listen to that yet, please go back and do so. Today, we'll focus on prep hitters and pitchers. We're also going to react to some of the final mocks that are out there, and we're also going to react or give our final takes on the
I've got a theory.
Situation.
I've got a theory of how this team
Jeff's
is
got
going
a good theory.
It's good. How this team might end up with 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah. So real quick, the Guardians, it's been a bit of a rough road. I mean, look, this game in Detroit was ugly. I think we all thought it was going to be ugly. I know I joked on the show yesterday saying, well, they're going to score 12 and Spencer Howard's going to look great. Well, Spencer Howard didn't look great, but Detroit almost scored 12. So I was half right, or close to being half right. It was an ugly game. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on it. It stunk. Howard was not good. The offense didn't make Jack Flaherty work. I joked multiple times in the game. I said, maybe they can get Jack Flaherty to pitch for them the rest of the game just by trading for him, because the first 2 innings, he threw 19 pitches, and Spencer Howard was doing that to the first 2 batters of the game. That was not fun. I want to say, though, this is a bad patch, and not a bad batch like Star Wars, but this is a bad patch, and every time the Guardians have had this stretch, they've rebounded well. They won 7 in a row, at the end of that Baltimore series, they lost, and they're 3-3 in the last 6. They're 6-8 in the last 14. It's not great. Every team goes through this. It just shows they have issues. Like David Fry is struggling right now. Daniel Schneemann is kind of struggling a little. I know he hit the home run the other day, but he's kind of showing some more strikeout issues. The bullpen has shown cracks. Henches, Sandlin's inconsistent. Jose's not having a good month of July. Like, everybody goes through this, and again, it's all about how they respond. Minnesota's playing great lately. Hopefully they have some, I don't want to say that motivation, but hopefully they can go to Tampa Bay and rebound. If they go into the break looking the same, I don't think their body language was necessarily bad on Thursday. I didn't really see that. It's just a team that looked frustrated and knows they were not playing well. So a good series in Tampa Bay would be nice to see. We'll see how they respond. I really don't want to see this team sputter into the break, because it could easily be a 3 or 2 game lead going into the break. But this team needs reinforcements. There's no doubt about it. Pitching has to be fixed somehow. I'm going to keep stumping. I'm going to say a bullpen arm. They also need a 5th hitter, though. They need a fifth hitter in the lineup. I don't know how many more times I can say that.
Yeah, I know we sometimes get people mad at us about the whole David Fry of it all, but like over the last 30 days, he's had a sub 600 OPS. It's been
June was bad too.
Yeah, that's why it's he's. It's not going to, and there's this part of me too. I was talking off air where I'm like, Manzardo keeps hitting. They might be a great platoon if you just set them up to succeed. But yeah, right now,
who goes down for that?
Yeah, the the problem right now with this team is many things, but they're still a first place team. Let's not get too in the weeds. It's an issue when you're going to Spencer Howard. Listen, Spencer Howard is never really been good. He had like one really nice minor league season, and he's bounced around for a reason. The stuff is not anything to call home about. And yeah, it's just, they need some better answers and options. And hopefully, they can figure out and find that team that'll make that deal that they need to have so they can start getting better, because specifically of pitching, they need some help now.
Yeah, Logan Allen's going to start Saturday in Columbus. He should get one more start after that in Columbus because the Guardians can reset the rotation out of the break. Everyone's got the break off except for Class A because, none of the other starters were good enough to make the All-Star team. So they can reset the rotation coming out of the break, which means they can push Logan Allen back. So in theory, he can get 2 starts in the minors. I don't know if 2 starts is long enough to fix anything, but I think that's what this is about. It was about I don't want to say they punted. I never want to say a team is trying to lose, but I think they were they're hopefully looking long-term that, we'll start Spencer Howard in this spot. We'll see if we can work on some things for Allen, because Allen's not as lost right now as McKenzie at the very least.
Yeah.
He is still in a range where you can, get a quality start out of him. McKenzie's farther removed from that. So hopefully the idea is these 2 starts, they work on some things with Allen on a low pressure environment where results don't matter, and he comes back and looks better. So that's why I think today happened. I don't like it. It certainly didn't look good, but it is what it is. So the bigger news was Gabriel Arias being sent down for Will Brennan. I don't think either of us believed they would actually do this. Is this the end of Gabriel Arias? Because we've talked before, if they sent him down, if he gets sent down, that really creates, I don't want to say friction, but it's not a good situation for him and the team on the outside looking in. We could be looking at this all wrong because we don't certainly know all the details, but there's been issues in the past. But I just wonder, what is the message and what is the return for him in terms of, does he come back up? What do you do with him? I kind of feel like this is the beginning of the end for Arias. Like I don't see a way back in this situation for him in Cleveland.
I mean, I'm never going to say never. We've seen guys who, the ultimate example of that is Carlos Carrasco, honestly, who's currently on the roster, is the ultimate example of that guy who sure, everyone was ready. Like there's always an opportunity. There's always a chance. And, all the things that are getting said about Gabby Arias now were being said about Carlos Carrasco when he had his issues throwing at guys. So I'm not going to sit and say he's done forever, because there's talent and tools and maybe it works out. Now there's also been other guys we know who it didn't. So it's hard to say. I just hope he goes down there.
Start singing a Justin Bieber song?
I don't know any Justin Bieber songs. So
never say never.
No, okay. No idea. But there's Baby, Baby, Baby. That's the only one I know. There's my one pool. Because that was everywhere. But to get back to the important stuff here is, I just want him to go down there and light it up, because then you can showcase him, right? You can showcase him in AAA, Justin.
Thank you for listening to today's Lockdown Guardians. We will see you on. No, kidding. You do want to make my head explode, don't you?
I'm trying.
All right, Jeff.
I'm trying my best. So yeah, it's it is what it is. But I think that I do think there's a chance, because the defense is there and the power potential is there as well. So if he can start turning it around, again, we saw this with Esteban Florial. You just need a good performance and one team to think that, hey, we can make this work.
So you're saying it's not the end. It's the end of him in Cleveland because they might trade him, not because he'll be back playing a role for Cleveland.
I mean, I'm never going to say never about him. Like there's always ways and opportunities and pathways for him to make it back up here, or if they view it. Like I don't think they're going to necessarily cut him out, but I think there's also a pathway to success. I think there's multiple pathways is all I'm saying.
By the way, I know people are going to start screaming about Rocchio or something. I'm just going to throw this out their stats. Going into Thursday's game, so not indicative of what happened on Thursday, but Brian Rocchio in the month of July, it's 26 plate appearances, so take it for what it's worth, but 273, 346, 455 in the month of July, and 26 plate appearances going into Thursday. So
into Thursday, he kind of bottomed out though. He's over the last 15 and over the last 30, he's a sub 650 OPS. He's not getting it done either.
Yeah, it's hard right now. There really isn't an answer at shortstop, and Angel Martinez looks so freaking good in the outfield. He made some great plays. Well, that's the other thing.
He
made some great plays in the outfield all series.
Just to be like, okay, put him in the outfield and let's see how Schneemann handles short. Like, I feel like he can be close to average. Or
here's the thing.
We're getting closer and closer to just let's put Jimenez there. You're paying him more money anyways. Whoever you put at second base is going to have a lower arbitration value.
Yeah. Schneemann and Fry are role players. Like when they called up Schneemann, we both said, like, yeah, he fits on this team as a utility guy. That doesn't mean he can't play a lot. But I think you're starting to see, like, maybe Schneemann and Fry, when you play these guys every day, they kind of get overexposed. They are great when they're playing 4 days a week or something. And you're matched. That's another good platoon, by the way. Maybe.
I don't know. We'll never know till we try. Like I'm Fry, we tried it and it didn't work out, because the same thing, if we live by that example, then Josh Naylor is currently a platoon guy. So you at least have to see, and we'll see what happens with Schneemann. I think the problem is with Fry, we're at about a month and a half of seeing this is not there. So that's why I'm kind of.
And historically, he's not good against righties. So we already do know that a little bit. And Schneemann with lefties, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll have to see, but I'm willing to at least see.
Yeah. That's enough time today on the big league team after their loss on Thursday. We come back. It is going to be all draft the rest of today's show. Prep targets at 36:48, mock draft reactions, and final thoughts on what we think the Guardians are going to do with that first pick. You already know what time it is this summer. This episode is Locked On Guardians is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. Summer travel is heating up. Get yourself to the All-Star game. Might be a little bit late for that. Are you looking to go to the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown at the end of the month for the inductions? Maybe you just want to go see a game on the road. The Guardians are back in Detroit at the end of the month. Maybe you want to go back to the House of Horrors. I don't know. Whatever you want to do, though, this baseball season, make sure you are using Booking.com to go to those cities you secretly want to learn more about, even your rival cities. Always a good choice on Booking.com. I've talked multiple times about my stay in Utica for the Hall of Fame. Drove into Cooperstown from there. It was a great experience, a great drive. I got a great deal on a really nice hotel and didn't pay that much and didn't have to deal with the traffic in Cooperstown. So Booking.com save you there. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, Detroit, maybe even Utica. Book today on Booking.com on the site or the Booking.com app. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. If you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts, your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. Maybe the Guardians should look on there for a trade target. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back because of eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash or prospects. With all the parts you need and the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. That number 5 hitter, that starting pitcher, that reliever I want, maybe you can go there. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And as Jeff said, of course, make sure you're checking out Locked On Prospects as well. Also, check out Locked On Sports Today, 24/7 sports streaming channel on YouTube and the Amazon Fire TV app as well. No screaming, no yelling, maybe decent opinions, but it is by hosts that know your team the best because they are local hosts. So check that out, all part of the Locked On Sports Podcast Network, your team every day. And every day, we feel like we've been talking about the draft, and today is no different because we're so close. We're talking favorite prep hitters. So let's start off with Jeff's theory about 36 and 48, what the Guardians are trying to do, because it's not a great prep class, and there's been some writing out there about, oh, this isn't a great class to do it, so why the Guardians do it? I think Jeff has found the right idea here. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but I think the theory Jeff has nailed on, if the Guardians can pull it off, this is what they're thinking.
Okay, so with Cleveland, if they can save, let's say, $1.2 million with their first overall pick, and then the 36th overall pick is worth 2.5. So now we're up to 3.7. They can get 900,000 over slot essentially. So that takes you up to 4.6. If you can save 400,000 on other picks, that gives you 5 million. Why does that matter? Because a year ago, the grand total number of players who signed for more than 5 million was 9. There were 9 players that signed for over $5 million. It was not even all of the top. No, and that's not true. Sorry. I apologize. I'm like, that's not right. The bonus numbers are not lining up here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it is 9. Everyone loves counting. But the point is here, 9 guys got $5 billion.
Math than me.
That's it. And Cleveland, if they can get to that $5 million level, if you look at the top 10, if we did a quick mock, it doesn't matter. Bazana is going to be gone. Condon's going to be gone. You go through the list, but there's a group of players, Braden Montgomery, Nick Kurtz, Bryce Rainier, Connor Griffin. These guys can slide. And if they slide, the highest pick, I guess I closed it over here. It's like through the Cubs. Technically, all those picks are worth $5 million, the first 14, but no one likes to get full slot. So there's a world where maybe Connor Griffin is sliding out of the top 10. Cleveland calls that family and is like, hey, if you can push him down, you'll get more. And I know of a player last year who ended up signing for less money, which is weird to say because he wanted full slot. He was offered an amount in the teens and said, no, I'm only going to sign if you give me full slot. So the team said no. They drafted another player. He ended up going in the 20s and getting full slot. So there's also this game that gets played where an agent might be like, $5 million here below slot or $5 million later in the draft at $1.5 million over slot. Let's go there. Because for the agent, that looks better. $5 million under slot versus $5 million over slot can also be advantageous for the agent. And that might be something where an agent pushes a guy down the board, especially because Cleveland has good relationships with agents. They've never done the really jerkish moves that we've heard of with certain organizations. Or even a few years ago, it's not the current front office. Remember when Philly ratted out Clay, blanking on the Oregon State. He ended up changing his name. Well, he had a different name at one point, who Cleveland actually drafted out of high school, where they're he had an advisor. So he ended up getting suspended. Everyone has an advisor. It was a real crud move by Philadelphia.
Interesting.
But it was former front office there. So, there is this manipulation. So I think Cleveland is doing this. And to expand this idea even more, let's say if they are big believers in Cape data, which we know they are beyond everything else, let's say at the top at 48, they're we're going to take Sirota and Mathis and save an additional 500,000. Guess what? There's that 500,000 in savings right there. So now you've got $5 million to offer a kid who's sliding, where it can be a win for him. He's, going to this organization. He's going to get a lot of money. It can be a win for the agent because he's getting a massive overslot deal for his agent. For his player. He's going to get twice the value, and it's a win for Cleveland. So I think Cleveland is not doing this to try to necessarily win 36 and not, to get from 30, a guy at 36 who's valued at 20 and get a guy at 48 who's valued at 30. I think they're trying to knock out and get 2 top 10 picks. I think this is the goal. I think this is the setup. They're trying to save up this money. Someone is going to slide. I can guarantee it. I was doing a mock today. I got it out of the top 10. I had Griffin, Rainier, and Kurtz all on the board. And I had them basically going the next 3 or 4 picks. But if Cleveland calls up and offers enough money, you might be getting one of those guys to Cleveland. And I think that is the plan. I think that is the goal. And I think more importantly, I think you can get there while still getting your number one guy.
Plan A. Yeah, it might be plan A.
But I think if plan A doesn't happen, then what we talked about that, trying to get them incremental improvement with the other 2 picks, that's when that comes to play. I think plan A is to try to get two top 10 players. I honestly think that's plan A. And if it falls apart, then they're going to do the other thing. But I think they're trying to put themselves in a position to take advantage of a draft where, and I know people are it's a weak draft. Why won't guys pay? Because teams still like to spread around. They don't like to give full slot because you know what happens next year? If you give full slot, next year, the agents could be like, you gave full slot last year. It becomes
set precedent, right?
You set a precedent. So teams also don't want to set a precedent by giving the full slot because then an expectation comes from that. So there's a lot at play. There's a lot of little things. I think there's a world where they absolutely end up with 2 of the top 10 players in this class.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, even JJ Weatherholt, even if we don't love him in terms of, I don't want to say not like him. It's again,
just the health.
JJ Weatherholt thing. It's the health. It's not the player. It's the health. Even if he's number 4, again, 4, and if you wind up somehow with JJ Weatherholt and Connor Griffin or Bryce Rainier or I don't know, Slade Caldwell probably still counts in that range, right? We think maybe. I know he's not. I mean,
I've got him. I've got Caldwell 15. And Rainier, and I've got all 3 of those guys exactly lined up.
Same valuation. So some of these other guys, the hitters we're talking about are Theo Gillen. I've really come around on Theo Gillen quite a bit. Or was it Kellen Lindsey? Which one had the injury
Lindsey
issues?
Was the Gillen is the injury guy. Lindsey is the quarterback who's fast.
Yeah. I kind of like both of them a little more. I know the one guy is injured. I like him more, and I'm mad about Weatherholt's injuries. It's kind of funny, but at 36, it's a little different than 1-1, especially being a prep player. Tyson Lewis is a shortstop in there. Carter Johnson's a shortstop in there. There's been some like connections from him to Cleveland. Wyatt Sanford, JD Dix, a switch hitting shortstop who lives in Jeff's backyard, literally.
Yeah.
Not literally, but
and
close.
I really like Dix.
Same high school as Craig Counsell, right?
Yes, and I know someone's going to clip that line there. But the reason I really like JD, I should say, is he's another labrum guy, by the way. One of the many
labrum injuries, yeah.
He's kind of like high school JJ Weatherholt. There's a lot of
except he's a switch hitter.
He's bigger. He's like 6'1", 6'2". But there's a lot of that. And he played with Counsell Sons, but he was always the guy who outshined them. He outshined Craig's Sons here in Milwaukee. Yeah. So if he had been fully healthy, I think would have been a no doubt first rounder. I have him, I think 40th on my board. I think he's a guy that is an absolute steal for some team waiting to happen.
I think he probably goes in round 2 or 3. I agree.
Yeah, I think he's a day one.
Yeah, in this group, if they don't get Griffin or Renier or Caldwell, I like Caldwell, but he's got to maintain his size as well, being a shorter guy. I still like Gillen. I don't think Gillen and Lindsay get there. We'll see. They're not quite as a coup if it's Griffin or Renier or Caldwell. We talked about Luke Dickerson, PJ Orlando's in this range, and Griffin Burkholder, who we both liked a lot as an outfielder with a lot of speed. So, any other thoughts on prep hitters when we move on to prep pitchers?
I will just throw out like Wyatt Sanford does fit the bill a lot, though they don't go to Texas that often. But I think
very weird. Texas preps have not been their thing for quite some time now, and I understand why, because they haven't been great. But we'll see if this class is any better. We'll come back. We'll talk prep pitcher targets, because I think there are a couple pitchers that fit into Jeff's theory about buying a top 10 player down. We'll talk about some Mox reactions real quick and our final 1-1 thoughts as well.
Hey, here on Locked On Guardians, we pride ourselves in getting you the latest news for your team, whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs. It's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. Even when you're doing everything right, you can still get caught. I've talked about it. I was paying all my taxes, doing everything properly, and then it turned out where I lived could charge the difference between their tax rate and where I worked. All of a sudden, I owed 3 years of taxes. Don't be like me. Don't get caught. But if you do get caught, that's where Tax Network is going to help you. 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. Tax Network USA have saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. They could buy a baseball team. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require planning, or finally hit the parlay this season and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. And be sure to mention Locked On Guardians at checkout, and you'll receive a $250 discount off your services. Let's now talk about our good friends at Stitch Fix. I get Stitch Fix boxes all the time in my house. My wife has been using Stitch Fix for years. Even though she could save $100 by using our promo code, she refuses. Why? She's found a great stylist. They get her. They send her stuff she loves. She keeps what she likes. She sends back what doesn't work for her. As she has told me many times, it is the easiest way to change your wardrobe. If you need something professional, you can let them know. And it can be for you. It can be for your wife. They even have a Stitch Fix Kids. Anything you want, Stitch Fix has you covered. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Now's the best time to get started at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $100 off. That's $25 off your first 4 fixes for a limited time. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $100 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Offer does not include kids fixes.
Guardians will be in Tampa Bay at 6:50. Games on Apple TV. So if you don't have Apple TV, maybe you have SiriusXM. You can search for the Guardians broadcast on your SiriusXM app. Just search Guardians to find it. All right, prep pitchers. I think we talked about your theory before. I think Ryan Sloan and probably William Schmidt are 2 slam dunk round 1 guys in this group right here. I think Cash Mayfield is. There's been some heat on Doughty and Owen Hall in round 1. But I think Sloan and Schmidt, and maybe to a lesser extent Doughty, I think more Sloan and Schmidt would fit into your theory about
I'll tell you
the
though,
top 10 player down.
Well, even not only that, today doing my mock, I had Sloan available at 36. That's who I had to go to Cleveland in my mock today. He was still on the board because things get weird. Guys slide and move. There's some interesting ones. We didn't even include the We have Dax Whitney from Idaho, which is never happens. We have an Idaho, and we have what is it, South Dakota or North Dakota? In this draft as well. It's a weird year where we have states that don't normally appear. There's even a kid who might get drafted from Alaska, I heard. So it is a weird year for the draft in that regard. But for all the complaints, like prep pitching is actually pretty solid this year. Yeah, there's some, once you get past the big five or so, it's a little bit more shaky. But like it's still solid guys. It's more the prep bats that really weaken out quickly. But prep arms. It's a good group. Is it Bryce McCaig? Not good. Meckage. His dad is a bullpen coach, so that's
for the Pirates. That's an interesting one.
So it's an interesting.
Owen Hall, I've been looking the last couple of days. He's really interesting. David Shields is from PA. He's also a young
reclassifier.
He's an athlete.
He's a reclassifier.
Yeah, so I really like him in this range. I like Joey Yoki a lot. Yeah, I like Joey Yoki a lot coming into the season. I've kind of dropped him a little bit. I think Mobley is an interesting one when you get to 48. And then, I don't know, Cash Mayfield's had a lot of first-round heat. He'd be an interesting one to see if he ends up at 36 somehow because he's older, but there's a lot of clean mechanics there and a lot of potential polish. We just don't know how Cleveland's going to feel about a 19-year-old. They usually don't go that old. Schmidt is one that seems like a lot of first-round hype, and I think it would be interesting to see if they can get him down, if that's the way they want to go. I know you don't really like Boston Bateman. I like him. He's a big kid from California.
I like him. I just think he's a reliever. That's all. I think he's like,
he might be a 2-pitch guy, and he's just very, very big. He's a tall guy.
Isn't he like 6'8" and like 250?
Yeah, I think his nickname is literally Sasquatch. I think I read that. So I'm all for getting Sasquatch. That'd be a lot of fun. I just want to see how that would go. Dason Hill's an interesting one. He's another young for the class guy, but he's in Texas, and he's kind of like the left-handed Tristan McKenzie. So I know everyone's going to be like, nope, don't draft him. But he is like 6'5", 165. He's a beanpole. So if he can keep weight on, that'd be great. If not, I don't know. And also, Cleveland's history of drafting Texas high school pitchers is not great. So
their history of drafting high school pitchers is not great. Let's be honest. Who's their best three? You've got Tristan McKenzie. Who else? Now give me Sam Henches. Now give me one more. Give me one more.
I don't have another.
Yeah,
Jarrett Wright.
I mean, it might be. Honestly, it might be. And they've drafted a ton of them.
Sabathia. Yeah, CC Sabathia was the last real
after Wright. But like
Jason Davis.
I don't think he was a high school kid, wasn't he? Like
I thought he was a high school kid.
I think he wasn't. But to the point is,
let us know if Jason Davis was
drafted. They have drafted a ton of high school guys, and they don't have much to show for it. They have drafted so many, and it has not gone well. I mean, even in the system right now, who is the top high school? Espino, I guess. Still, like, is that who it is? Fleming? Yeah, he was from Cleveland State Community College in Cleveland, Tennessee. Jason Davis was. So.
Oh, okay. About the lesser known Cleveland, sure.
Yeah, the one that still has baseball apparently, because Cleveland.
That's true. Cleveland State, Ohio, does not have baseball. They haven't in forever. Yeah, it's not a great history, but they're going to do it. We know they're going to take a prep pitcher,
and I'm not opposed.
36.
Again,
it's probably going to be 36.
It's a good depth point. And I wouldn't be shocked either if it's not 36. Honestly, if it's if they're able to get someone down. No, was it 84 next? Like that kind of makes sense as well. Kind of reset the board and see who's there.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the mocks today real quick?
I mean, yeah, sure.
So everybody's got Bazana on the mocks across the board. Everywhere you go,
I had Weatherholt, which is so part of this. I think I've said before is just hey, I get it right or I'm happy. Like it's you're
hedging your bet for sure.
I'm hedging my bet.
So Pipeline's got Bazana. They've had Bazana. They've been sticking with Bazana. Keith Law had Condon forever, and there's no smoke with Condon. So it's either they're really in on Condon, they don't want to show their cards, or they're really out. There's no in between on that one. I think it all comes down to money. I think it's. Yeah. I'm going to guess that they value Weatherholt, Bazana, Condon, and Burns, and I'm not going to say Griffin. I don't think that's true. And maybe Caglione. Maybe they all view him in the same value group, and whoever they can get to take the least amount of money is who they'll take. Maybe that's what we've been thinking forever. But everyone's got Bazana. Baseball America hasn't dropped their final mock yet, but I know Carlos is sticking with JJ Weatherholt. So, and I know you have JJ. I went with JJ my final one, but I'm still 50-50 here. But Some of these mocks, by the way, some of the information in them, I'm not going to say where, you can read for yourself.
Well, it's, like, I even say this,
absolutely
like,
brutal
it is
information.
And I'm just gonna throw this out there. Like, I thought it was interesting that, like,
there are some people that just don't have good information anymore.
Well, it's also like Pipeline had Nick Kurtz there, and then, Pipeline had what it was. I think it was Chicago, where Pipeline said that Nick Kurtz is talked about and in play, and then Keith says he doesn't think there's any chance, and that Kurtz isn't in play, and it's just weird. Like, multiple places with completely
very
different reports, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know what is what right now.
Does everybody have different contacts? Like, that's so bizarre.
Well,
like the one mock said there's no buzz on Cleveland saying they're going to cut a deal at 1. They're going to take the best player available, and I'm like, they're still going under slot. Again, I will be surprised if they go over 9.5.
I think it was just not the best worded. Like, I think what that person was trying to say is he doesn't think they're going to take a steep haircut. He thinks they're trying to find a haircut.
They're trying. I think they'd love to get to 9. I think it's 9.5. I think they'd love to get to 9. They're saying 8.5. I think the buzz is 8.5 because they want to get to 9, and I think they're going to have to go 9.5. I can't see any agent saying there's no way I'm not breaking 9.3 maybe. Just so I think 9.3.
Yeah, it broke Skeens. You're higher than Skeens. I think 9.3 can happen. I do think
that's another $200K. Okay. All right. So where are we at, Jeff? I'm pretty firmly. I don't want to say 50-50 on Bazana and Weatherholt, but I'm close to it. I would maybe even say
I'm 60-40
between those two.
Yeah, Weatherholt 60-40, just because I feel like
probably
they have not taken the guy I wanted in such a long time that I just kind of I don't know. It's just I can't expect them to do it. I do want to say though, make sure we talk there. Starting 6:00 on Sunday night, we are going to be doing a live stream. So, anyone who wants to join us, like we're going to be going all night. We're going to go through. We're going to be having live reactions. We might have some guests. If not, it's just going to be us talking, having fun, reacting. They're not doing the draft show this year for Locked On. We don't have a Locked On Prospects host. So, like I said, they had
Guardians fan. If you're any fan, it's just us.
So if you know someone who wants draft coverage and doesn't want to hear Harold Reynolds and Dan O'Dowd, who wants to hear those two, come listen to us because I guarantee we're going to be less annoying. I mean, Harold's was it Hunter Dozier? He like comped to like Mike Schmidt or something. It's like, oh boy, Harold. Like I can't. It wasn't that big, but it's like
it was close to that
Harold.
Bad, yeah,
it's bad. Like you got two Cadillacs, Ferraris, whatever. You got two Kings in Mayo and Callis, and those two never get to
speak. I think Carlos will be on. I think Carlos will be on.
Yeah, Carlos will be on, and you got three fantastic baseball minds, and they can't get a word in edgewise. It's so frustrating. So I'll have it on and. I still have it on. I'll have it on mute unless it's affecting the stream, and then I'll just have the draft tracker going. But yeah, it's going to be fun. So again, we just want to hype it up because it's going to be
6
all of round 1 and 2.
We'll start pregame. Yeah,
and if it goes at 6. And here's my promise: if it goes well, I'll be doing a stream for day 2, which Justin will be joining, and then we'll be potentially joining at parts. We'll have to see, but I will do a day 2 stream, and if day 2 stream goes well, I will do a day 3 stream. But it's kind of up to you guys. We have to see.
Day 3.
Yeah, but I will be. I'm going to be here no matter what. So if you want those streams, make sure you're showing up in force. We need to make sure. I don't think we'll have any problems getting over 100 concurrent, but that is the kind of bare minimum, and then we'll see from there. But yeah, we're gonna have the content. You're gonna be able to see the points where I'm like, oh, I don't know who this is, or wow, that it's going to be. There's always a first rounder. There's always a guy in the top 40 who I'm like,
there's always a surprise.
What? Yeah. Like.
Who's going to be this year's Nick York?
Yeah, and that's worked out so well. So you want to be that one, or was it Hayden? Not Rowinski. There was a guy for the Cubs a few years ago where they popped someone early,
Federico?
And I was like, I can't remember.
Oh, Hayden Wazinski.
Was it? It wasn't Wazinski, was it?
Yeah.
It wasn't someone
else.
No,
because he was a Yankee, I think.
Yeah, no, there was like another guy that they popped. We're like, who is? When you have to defend your pick to that degree, it often doesn't go well. But yeah, no, we're gonna have a lot of fun. I can't wait because like once the draft is over, it's just kind of like freedom, like I kind of float away.
Right.
But it's also like
I'm ready for this 1-1 debate to be over. I really am.
Because here's the thing: no matter what, this is their new top prospect. This is the best player in their system from the start. This is the guy who could be the face of their franchise. This is the guy who they should maybe immediately after drafting approach with a Jason Churio type of contract, or not Jason. Yeah, Jason.
No,
right?
Jackson.
I'm getting my Cheerios confused.
Jackson. So be there 6 o'clock Sunday. We'll be there with you starting about 6:15, and we'll be there with you all night on day one.
Yep.
Through every Guardians
single
pick.
pick.
All picks. So even if you're not a Guardians fan, tell a friend. We'll be here covering all picks.
And like, I know Justin might bop out and I might be a little distracted when they have the press conference, but we'll still be here. Like, I'll be having two different earbuds in, taking questions, reacting, responding. But and then if I'm listening to the press conference, I can come in and let you guys know what gets said in the press conference kind of immediately. So thank you all for joining us, rating, reviewing, downloading. It helps. Join us on Sunday.
See you Sunday.
Make sure you join us. Go Guardians, go draft
Merry
the
Christmas.
Baz.
Merry Christmas.